Hey everybody, it's Dr. Eric Balcavage, and today I want to talk about hypothyroidism and something called oxidative stress. Okay, so this will probably be a two-parter, but today we're going to talk in part one. We're going to talk about what oxidative stress is, and we're going to talk about the role of thyroid hormone in helping to prevent oxidative stress, and when you have hypothyroidism, why oxidative stress can get out of control. Okay, so what is this thing called oxidative stress? That's what we need to start with. Well, oxidative stress is the damage that's caused by the free radicals produced during energy production. So what does all that mean? So your cells make energy, and specifically your mitochondria make energy, and that's when you don't have hypothyroidism, that's why you have the ability to run around and your brain works and your skin isn't dry and your metabolism works. It's all because of what's happening in these little engines inside your cells called your mitochondria. Well, to produce energy, the cells and the mitochondria require oxygen, and oxygen is used to generate that energy, but there's a byproduct in that energy process, and those are called free radicals or reactive oxygen species. Just like when you burn wood, you produce fire, which is the heat, which is what you want. There's also a byproduct, which is the smoke. So you can think about like free radicals and these reactive oxygen species like the smoke. Now your body needs to do something with those. The cells need to do something with them. They either need to degrade them and get rid of them, or if they accumulate, they can create some problems. So when you have healthy thyroid physiology, you have a much better ability to address these free radicals that are produced. When you have cellular hypothyroidism, remember what that is. That's decreased thyroid hormone inside your cells, and that's not always represented by a TSH or blood levels of T4 and T3. When you have cellular hypothyroidism, you have less thyroid hormone reaching the cells, and that's going to decrease your body's ability to deal with these reactive oxygen species, so they build up and accumulate in the cells and actually create damage. So let me kind of go through this for you. So mitochondria generate ATP energy, which we call ATP, but there's also a byproduct of that energy process, and those are these free radical products, things we call reactive oxygen species. Things like superoxide, hydrogen peroxide, and hydroxyl groups. Okay, don't worry about the chemistry of those, just know that those things occur. In normal, healthy situations, the body produces a few things to help get rid of these things, these free radicals. I'll talk about that in a second. So free radicals, these reactive oxygen species, when they are produced, one of two things is going to happen to them. Your body's either going to the cells are going to clear them, get rid of them, and that helps you maintain healthy mitochondria and healthy cells, or they can accumulate, and if these free radicals and reactive oxygen species accumulate, we get cell damage, or what we call oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is the damage caused by these free radicals, which drives pathology, which causes cell aging, and eventually we see it as disease. So thyroid hormone helps us to reduce oxidative stress via three mechanisms. One is the thyroid hormones, especially T3. Remember, T3 inside your cells increases the activity and expression of something called your uncoupling protein. So the uncoupling protein is associated with heat energy. So when you're producing this energy within the mitochondria, we want to make sure that we're making the amount of energy that we can manage. And so if we have more energy being produced than we can really effectively manage, one of the things that the body does is increases these uncoupling proteins to kind of divert energy down a path that can generate more heat. The second thing hormones do to reduce oxidative stress is increase something called a mitochondrial potassium ATP channels. And this happens at the mitochondria, at the cell level. And essentially, as your cells are generating energy, they're pumping some minerals out, some minerals come in. So calcium can wind up building up in the cells, and potassium gets dumped out of the cells. Well, if you get too much calcium coming into the cells, that can become toxic. So what the body does, or what the thyroid hormones do when they're working well, is they increase the activity of this pump so that the calcium is pumped back out, or the potassium is pumped that's being pumped out of the cell can be pumped back in, and the calcium that's being pumped into the cell during this energy process can be pumped back out into the blood. So it keeps this balance of minerals in check. Okay? And the third way the thyroid hormones help decrease oxidative stress is that they increase the expression and the activity of antioxidant enzymes. So enzymes like the thyroid hormone, especially T3 inside the cells, is critical for the function of something called superoxide dismutase, which is one of the molecules or one of the enzymes that's responsible for breaking down these free radical species. It is essential for catalase expression and function, and it's important for glutathione peroxidase expression and function. So if you have reduced T3 inside your cells, if you have this condition we call cellular hypothyroidism, your antioxidant enzymes aren't going to work, okay? And then you're going to build up these free radicals, and that's going to create the symptoms of oxidative stress, which I'll talk about in a second. They also have an impact on your antioxidants like vitamin A and vitamin C and vitamin E, cysteine, glutathione, selenium, ceruloplasmin, and transferrin, just to name a few. So T3 is essential for these things to be made and to function appropriately. So loading the body with these things when your cellular levels of thyroid hormone are deficient isn't going to help you too much, okay? So let's review what cellular hypothyroidism is. That cellular hypothyroidism is decreased T3 inside your cells, and this can be caused by decreased production by the gland. If the gland is damaged or destroyed and you're not producing sufficient T4 and T3, then there isn't sufficient T4, T3 potentially in the bloodstream, and there won't be sufficient T4 and T3 reaching your cells. So cellular hypothyroidism can be caused by lack of glandular production, but that's usually not the number one cause. It can be caused by decreased transport. So you can have optimal levels of T4 and T3 in the blood, but it's not being transported appropriately inside the cells. Or you can have cellular hypothyroidism because inside the cell there's decreased conversion of T4 to T3 and increased conversion of T4 to reverse T3, the inactive form of thyroid hormone. So when we have decreased T3 inside our cells and we have this increased conversion of T4 to reverse T3, then we lose our body's ability, our cell's ability to control the levels of free radicals inside the cells. We reduce or lose the ability to properly regulate the uncoupling proteins. We lose the ability to regulate these potassium ATP channels. We lose the ability to activate our natural antioxidant enzymes and antioxidants. And this all results in symptoms of oxidative stress, things like fatigue, brain fog, decreased memory. We see it as muscle and joint pains, wrinkles and gray hair, decreased eyesight, headaches, increased blood pressure, increased cholesterol. All the reasons that you have or are taking medications are primarily the result of increased oxidative stress. So, for today's Thyroid Thursday, I want you to understand that hypothyroidism, that cellular hypothyroidism, plays a major role in oxidative stress, damaging your tissues and causing early aging and disease. The big issue is the big issue is that you don't always need more thyroid hormone. The big issue we have to consider is what's causing the deactivation of thyroid hormone once it reaches the cell. That's the biggie. And that is typically being driven by some form of stress, physical, chemical, emotional, or microbial. And that's where a good functional medicine practitioner isn't just going to give you a bunch of supplements. We're not going to tell you to go on medications for all these signs and symptoms. What we're going to try and get you to do is modify diet and lifestyle and other lifestyle factors to help reduce the stressors that are triggering something called the cell danger response, which is triggering the cellular deactivation of thyroid hormone, which is triggering your hypothyroid symptoms, which are really being driven by your body's ability to reduce the free radicals and the oxidative stress inside your cells. All right? This is such a big topic. There's so much complexity to it, so I'll follow up with part 2 in the near future, okay? If you have any questions regarding hypothyroidism and its impact on causing reactive oxygen species and oxidative stress, put your comments wherever you watch the video and I'll be sure to get back to you, okay? Take care.